Hi guys, I'm Melissa, and in today's video I'll be talking about crosstiles or crosstile puzzles, which is a unique way of approaching math. So in a crosstile puzzle, we fill in blank squares with the given entries to make true equations reading from the left to right and top to bottom. So crosstile puzzles may be a new concept for many of you, so I'll try to first solve an example to try to make crosstiles easier to understand for you. So first of all, we have an example question, and it says use -1, -2, 3, and 4 to complete the crosstile puzzle on the right. So what we see here is what we call a crosstile puzzle. So it gives us the starting numbers and it gives us the resulting number of the equation. And so, as the instruction says, we go from left to right and top to bottom. And so the left column, to get from 5 to 2, right, from 5 to 2, we subtract 3. So it's 5 minus 3 equals 2. And so using these numbers to get -3, so the numbers inside these two boxes must equal to -3, then the only combination or possible way that we can do it is by using -1 and -2. So it can be like -1 or -2. But again, the two can change order based on the horizontal ones. So it's not fixed yet. We know that -1 and -2 should go in, but the order can be -2 and -1 or -1 and -2. So we have to look at other rows and columns before we finalize that. And in the bottom row, to get from 11 to 14, we need to add 3. And adding 3, we can only do that by using 4 and -1. And so we know that the -1 should go in here. So it becomes like that. And then from 6 to 3, we need a 7. We need to add 7, so this would be 3, since 3 plus 4 is 7. So now that we have all the boxes filled, we're just going to do one quick check to make sure that everything is correct. So -2 and 3 gives us +1, and 7 plus 1 is 8. -1 plus 4 is 3, and so 11 plus 3 is 14. So the horizontal ones are all correct. Now let's look at the vertical columns. From -2 plus -1 is -3, and 5 minus 3 is 2, and 3 plus 4 is 7, and 6 plus 7 is 13. So all of this is correct. Now we have a lot of crosstile puzzle questions and practice problems. And so I'll be going over these practice problems, and if you guys need time to solve these crosstile puzzles on your own before I go over the solutions, feel free to pause the video at any time and then resume or play the video again when you finish the question. So let's look at number 47. The numbers that we can use is 1, 2, 3, and 5. And so we'll look at the left column first. From 8 to 15, we need to add 7, right? Since 8 plus 7 is 15. And the only possible way of getting a 7 is by using 2 and 5. Again, it can go like this, or it can also go this, either way. Now let's look at the bottom. Well, let's look at the horizontal rows, not the bottom. From 7 to 15, we need to add 8. And the only possible way to get 8 from this combination is 5 and 3. So we know that the 5 must go in here. Now since we have one number left, we're going to add that and make sure that it's correct. And to get from 9 to 13, we need to add 4, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So we'll check everything to make sure that all the numbers are correct. So 5 plus 3 is 8, and 7 plus 8 is 15. So this row works. 2 plus 1 is 3, and so 9 plus 3 is 12, so this row also works. Now let's look at the vertical columns. 5 plus 2 is 7, and 8 plus 7 is 15, so this column works. And 3 plus 1 is 4, and 9 plus 4 is 13, so this column works, and we have solved the cross-tile puzzle. Now let's take a look at question number 48. This is also a similar type of question, but now the entries or possible number combinations that we can use are all negative numbers. Now let's look from the left column again. So to get from 21 to 10, we need to subtract 11. So we need a negative 11. And the only possible way of getting a negative 11 is by using negative 8 and negative 3. Again, it can go in like this, or it can go in the other order by adding negative 3 in the top and negative 8 in the bottom. Now we're going to check which order it goes in by looking at the horizontal rows. Now to get from 15 to 5, we need to subtract 10. So we need a combination that gives us negative 10. And from the number combinations, the only possible combination that gives us a negative 10 is using negative 8 and negative 2. Now we know that, therefore, or because of that, the negative 8 should go in here. And we're left with negative 4. So now again, let's do a quick check to make sure that everything is correct. Negative 8 plus negative 2 is negative 10, and 15 minus 10 is 5, so this row works. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7, and 10 minus 7 is 3, so this row also works. Now let's look at the vertical columns. Negative 8 plus negative 3 is negative 11, and 21 minus 11 gives us 10. So this column works. Negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6, and 24 minus 6 gives us 18. Again, we know that all of these columns and rows work, so we have solved the cross-tile puzzle successfully. Now we have a lot more practice problems, and so I'll be going over the solutions for all of them. Again, feel free to pause the video whenever you need to. And yeah, I'll be going over these problems. So question number 49. We have the available numbers that we have are negative 1, 1, negative 5, and 5. So to get from 10 to 16, we need to add 6. So to get plus 6, the combination should be 1 and 5. Or let's start from the left column first, like we always do. To get from 10 to 6, we need to subtract 4. And the only combination that works for negative 4 is plus 1 and negative 5. Now, which order should it go in? Well, from 10 to 16, we need to add 6. And so the only combination that works to add 6 or get a plus 6 is 5 and 1. So we know that the order should be 1 and negative 5 and 5. Now the number that we're left with is negative 1. So let's check here. So 1 plus 5 is 6, and 10 plus 6 is 16. Negative 5 plus negative 1 is negative 6, and 10 minus 6 is 4. Let's look at the vertical columns now. And so 1 plus negative 5 is negative 4, and so 10 minus 4 is 6. And 5 plus negative 1 is 4, and 10 plus 4 is 14. Now we'll look at question number 50. So the possible numbers that we can use are 1, 3, negative 5, and 5. And so again, we'll start from the left column first. So to get to 14 from 18, we need to subtract 4. And to get negative 4, the combination that works is negative 5 and 1. Now to figure out if negative 5 goes in here or here, we're going to look at the horizontal rows. And so to get from 7 to 11, we need to add 4. And the combination that works for plus 4 is 1 and 3. So we know that 1 should go in here and negative 5 goes in here. Now the number that we're left with is 5. So again, we'll do a check to make sure that everything works out. So 1 plus 3 is 4, and 7 plus 4 is 11. So this one works. This row works. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0, and so 9 plus 0 is just itself 9. This row also works. We'll look at the columns now. So 1 plus negative 5 is negative 4, and so 18 minus 4 is 14, and 3 plus 5 is 8, and 3 plus 8 is 11. Now we have solved the crosstile puzzle successfully. Now I'll be giving you guys about, now that I've solved some practice problems for you guys, and you guys have understood how to solve these types of questions, I'll be giving you guys about 1 minute to 2 minutes to solve question number 51, and then I'll be going over the solution. So I'll be giving you guys about a minute to solve this question, and so yeah, I'll go over the solution after a minute. And if you guys need more than 1 minute to solve this question, then again, just pause the video and then feel free to resume the video after you're done solving. But for now, I'll give you guys around 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so I'll be going over the solution for question number 51. And so the possible numbers that we can use are plus 2, negative 4, and 8. So let's look at the left column first. So to get from 10 to 14, we need to add 4. And adding 4, the only combination that works using the numbers that we are given is negative 4 and 8. And so we're going to figure out which order it should go in. And so we're going to look at the horizontal row, and to get from 10 to 8, we're subtracting. And if we have an 8 in here, we would need -10 since we need to subtract 2, and we don't have -10. And so that tells us that we cannot use 8 in this box. And so we're going to put the -4 in the first box. And since we need a -2, since 10 minus 2 is 8, we need a combination of -2 from these two boxes. And so -4 plus 2 will give us -2. And so the only number that we have left is -4. And so we'll see if all the rows and columns work out. So -4 plus 2 is -2, or -2, and 10 minus 2 is 8. So this row works. 8 plus -4 is 4, and 10 plus 4 is 14. We'll look at the columns now. So -4 plus 8 is 4, and so 10 plus 4 is 14. 2 plus -4 is -2, and so 10 minus 2 is 8. So all of the rows and columns work, and we have solved the cross-tile puzzle. Now let's take a look at question number 52. The possible numbers that we have are 1, -2, -3, and -6. Now we'll look at the left column first. To get from 22 to 21, we need to subtract 1. And the only combination that gives us -1 is +1 and -2. Now to figure out which order it goes in the boxes, we'll look at the horizontal rows. So to get from 24 to 22, we need -2. And the only combination that works to give us a -2 is 1 and -3. And so it's going to go in like this. And so eventually we have -6 in the last box. And now we'll see if all of these the way we ordered the numbers work out. So 1 plus -3 is -2. And so 24 minus 2 is 22. -2 plus -6 is -8. And 28 minus 8 is 20. 1 plus -2 is -1. And so 22 minus 1 is 21. -3 plus -6 is -9, and 25 minus 9 is 16. So all of these boxes work out, and again, we've solved the cross-tile puzzles. And so, before we move on to harder cross-tile puzzles, and I mean harder because now we have 6 boxes instead of 4 boxes, I want you guys to really get used to how to solve these cross-tile puzzles yourselves. And so again, I'll be giving you some time to solve question 53 and 54. So I'll be giving you guys around 4 minutes in total to solve both questions. Again, if you need more time, just always pause the video and try solving these 2 questions before we move on to a bit more difficult and harder cross-tile puzzles. So I'll be giving you guys 4 minutes to solve both problems. If you need more time, just pause the video and then come back to the video when you're done. Okay, so I'll be going over the solutions for question 53 and 54. And so for question number 53, the possible numbers that we can use is 3, -4, 5, and -6. And so we're going to look at the first left column first. The first column, or the left column. So to get from 19 to 16, we need to subtract 3. So we need a combination that gives us -3. And from here, the only combination that would work is -6 and 3. Now to figure out the order, we're going to look at the horizontal rows. And so to get from 18 to 26, we need to add 8. And the only combination that works is 5 and 3. So the 3 is going to go on the top box, and the -6 is going to go here. And we have the 5. And so eventually the -4 will be the last box. And we're just going to check if these numbers, or the way we put the numbers in the boxes, work out. So 3 plus 5 is 8, and 18 plus 8 gives us 26. -6 plus -4 is -10, and 17 minus 10 is 7. 3 plus -6 is -3, and 19 minus 3 is 16. And 5 plus -4 is 1, and 20 plus 1 is 21. And so this crosstile puzzle was correct, or we solved the crosstile puzzle correctly. And we'll look at the last 4-box crosstile puzzle, which is question number 54. The numbers that we have are 11, -22, -33, and 44. And so we'll look at the left column first. So to get from 55 to 77, we need to add 22. And so the combination that gives us 22 is 44 and -22. Now from 55 to get to 44 from 55, we need to subtract 11. And the only combination that works is 11 and -22. So the numbers are probably going to go in like this. And so we'll check and see if that's right. -22 plus 11 is -11, and 55 minus 11 is 44. 44 plus -33 is 11, and 55 plus 11 is 66. -22 plus 44 is 22, and 55 plus 22 is 77. 11 plus -33 is -22, and so 55 minus 22 is 33. So now that we've mastered 4-box crosstile puzzles, we're going to look at crosstile puzzles that are a bit more difficult, which involve 6 boxes instead of 4 boxes. And so I'll go over number 55 and tell you the solution right now. And so the numbers that we can use is -1, 1, -2, 2, -3, and 3. And so we'll look at the left column first. To get from 10 to 12, we need to add 2. And so we're going to look for combinations that give us +2. The possible combinations will be, the only possible combination that we see is 3 and -1. So we need to figure out what order it's going to go in. But if we look at the horizontal rows, the first row we need to add 6, but the second row we need to subtract 6. And now that gives us the hint that probably the boxes that are involved with the first row are going to have to be positive because the numbers are small, so adding small positive numbers will probably end up to 6. And for the boxes that are involved in the second row, it probably needs to be negative numbers because adding negative numbers will probably give us -6 because these negative numbers are small. And so we'll try. And so the positive numbers that we have are 3, 2, 1, and 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. And -1 plus -2 plus -3 is -6. So this order is correct. Now we're just going to look at the second column, and to get from 10 to 10, we need to add 0. And that means it should be like 2 and -2 or 3 and -3, right? Because added together they should be 0. And so we're going to look at the last column to figure out the boxes. And so from 10 to 8, to get from 10 to 8, we need to subtract 2. And the combination that can give us -2 is -3 and 1. And so we have 2 and -2. Now we're just going to do a quick check to see if these boxes are correct. And so 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 16. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6, and so 10 plus 6 is 16. -1 plus -2 plus -3 is -6, and 10 minus 6 is 4. Now let's check the columns. 3 plus -1 is 2, 10 plus 2 is 12. 2 plus -2 is 0, 10 plus 0 is 10. 1 plus -3 is -2, and so 10 minus 2 is 8. Now I know this crosstile puzzle was a bit harder than the ones that we've been doing with 4 boxes, so I want you guys to practice with question number 56 before we go over slightly more difficult problems. And so I'll be giving you guys 2 minutes, or 2 to 3 minutes to solve question number 56. Again, if you need more time, feel free to pause the video and then come back to it when you're done solving the question. And so after 3 minutes, I'll be going over the solutions. Okay, so I'll be going over the solution to 56. And so we're going to look at the first column, 4 to 4. So that means we need to add nothing, so we need a plus 0. So that means that we need a -1 and 1 because those two cancel out. And the reason why I put I put -1 on the box on the top is because, again, looking at the horizontal rows, from 5 to 4 we need a -1. From 6 to 7 we need a +1. So we probably need the negative number to go in where the number gets smaller, especially since the numbers are so small. But this can change, so we're just going to leave this as a temporary decision. We're not going to finalize anything yet, but since it's likely that the top is going to be -1, we're going to first place it there. To get from 3 to 1, we need to add 2, and so the only combination is 1 and 1. Now to get from 2 to 4, we need to add 2, and so that is going to also get, we're also going to need 1 and 1. But look, now we've used 5 ones, which doesn't make sense, since we only have 3 ones available. So, oh, sorry, I thought it was 1 to 3, so it was actually 3 to -1, so we need to subtract 2. I'm sorry for the confusion. So the only option we have is -1 and -1. Now let's check if these squares are properly filled. -1 plus -1 plus 1 is -1, and so 5 minus 1 is 4. 1 plus -1 plus 1 is 1, and 6 plus 1 is 7. -1 plus 1 is 0, and 4 plus 0 is 4. -1 plus -1 is -2, and 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 2 is 4. Now let's take a look at question number 57. The entries, or the possible numbers we have, are -1 to -3, 4, -5, and 6. And so we're going to first look at the left column, and to get from 14 to 20 we need to add 6, and the only possible combination is 2 and 4. Now we need to figure out what order it should go in. So we're just going to leave it as a temporary decision, and we're going to look at the column in the right. So to get from 16 to 12, we need to subtract 4, and the only combination is -1 and -3. And so again, we need to figure out the order, so we're going to leave it as a temporary decision. And for the middle column, that means we should use the -5 and 6 somewhere here. And that works because 15, we need to add 1 to 15, and 6 plus -5 is 1. Now we need to figure out if the order is correct. So in the left column, if we place 4 above the 2, then we cannot complete either row, right? And that's because already if we add the 4 here, that gives us 16, and these two can only add up to 1, but we already have 6 and -3, that we already can't make a combination that gives us a +1 using these two. So the number here should be smaller. So that would be 2 here and 4 here. And using the same logic, we know that this is probably the correct combination of numbers. So we're going to test it out. So 2 plus 6 plus -3 is 5, and 12 plus 5 is 17. 4 plus -5 plus -1 is -2, and 13 minus 2 is 11. And looking at the columns, 2 plus 4 is 6, 14 plus 6 is 20, 6 plus -5 is 1, 15 plus 1 is 16, -3 plus -1 is -4, and 16 minus 4 is 12. Now our last question is -1 the numbers that we have are -1, -1, 4, 5, -5, and 9. And so for question number 58, to get from 20 to 28, we need to add 8, and so we need to use -1 and 9. We'll just add the numbers we need instead of adding it into the squares because they can go in either order. For the middle row, we need to add 9, and so the possible combination is going to be 5 and 4. To get from 20 to 14, we need to subtract 6, and so we need -1 and -5. Now from 20 to 19, we need to subtract 1. And so the three numbers that we're going to use to get -1 is -1, 5, and -5. These two cancel out, so we have -1. Then that means the numbers we have are 9, 4, and -1. And all of the rows and columns are satisfied with the combination, so we know that that works out. Yeah, and so that is the end of today's lesson. If you guys have any questions, please just let me know through my email. And my email is melissakim555@gmail.com. And so just let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!